Hey, I'm Taylor, and I'm really excited to be partnering with prAna for National Yoga Month to bring all of you a variety of yoga classes that you can do right at home. Today's class is all about breath and balance. I'm going to guide you through a flow of about 8 balancing postures where your intention will be to maintain full and steady breaths in order to find stability and vitality within your balance. If you don't have about 25 to 30 minutes to practice with me, save this video for later. Otherwise, I'll meet you on your mat. To start, come to the top of your mat in a standing position. Feet are hips distance apart, micro bend in the knees, and gently close your eyes. Do a quick scan of your body, identifying any tension that you might need to release today. I'm going to walk you through an Ujjayi breathing tutorial. That's the breathing technique that we'll be using throughout the practice today. Start by taking deep inhales in through the nose and out through the mouth. Begin to let your exhales become audible, as if you're trying to fog up a mirror that's just in front of you. Notice the way that the back of your throat has to constrict in order to fog up that mirror. This throat constriction is key in our Ujjayi breathing. So take one more breath with me like that. On one of your next exhales, gently close the lips and allow that exhale to come out through the nose while still maintaining that same throat constriction that we had with our mouth open. This is Ujjayi breathing. Ujjayi means victorious, and if you can focus on breathing this way throughout your practice today, I promise you can become victorious over your busy thoughts. On your next inhale, lift your toes up towards the ceiling and gently spread them apart before placing them back down on your mat. Pay close attention to the connection between your feet and the mat. On your next exhale, envision roots are sinking out through your feet and into the mat, securing you tightly to your mat. And on the following inhale, rise up from the crown, finding length and expansion. We're going to use this imagery throughout our practice today. Inhale, take your arms up overhead. Open your eyes. On an exhale, use your left hand to grab your right wrist and stretch out over to the left side, keeping your shoulders stacked on top of one another, really opening up the right side body here. Inhale, coming back up to center, taking it out to the other side. Inhale, rising back up. On your next inhale, rise up onto the balls of the toes, taking your entire inhale for this motion. And on an exhale, finding your heels back down on the mat again. One more time, inhale, rising up onto the toes. This time on an exhale, staying right here on the balls of your toes and dropping into our first balance posture. So we're coming into chair on our toes here. You're going to feel some heat in your thighs. We're focusing in on the breath here, holding this for a couple of breaths. On your next exhale, allow your heels to find the mat and fall forward into a forward fold. Give your knees a generous bend here. It's our first forward fold of the day. Maybe bend your knees enough so that your chest can rest all the way onto your thighs. Grabbing opposite elbows with hands, and just hang heavy for a few moments. Shake your head yes and no. On your next inhale, place your hands on your shins or the mat, finding a half lift. So we're just finding some length in our spine here, taking the crown of our head to the front of the mat and our sits bones to the back of the mat. On an exhale, planting the hands firmly underneath your shoulders and stepping or jumping back into a high plank. We're going to flow through a vinyasa here. We'll do this a couple of times in the practice. So exhale, chaturanga, lowering about halfway down to your mat, keeping those elbows straight back. Inhale, tucking onto the tops of the toes, pushing up into up dog or Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And exhale, sending the hips up and back for down dog or Adho Mukha Svanasana. Give yourself some time in this down dog, pedal out the feet, do whatever your body's calling for. Be sure that the spine is straight. Your knees can be as bent as you'd like. Bent knees are fine, bent spine, not okay. So really going for length in the spine here. I like to imagine that there's a pool noodle right here at my hips, and I'm trying to squeeze it tightly between my rib cage and my thighs. Coming into our next balance posture, lift the left hand off the mat and reach it back for the right ankle or shin. Coming into a twisted down dog. Again, sinking those roots out from the balls of the toes, out from that right hand that's still on the mat. Finding stability, and on an inhale, lifting everything else up towards the sky. Are you breathing? On your next exhale, placing the left hand back down on the mat and switching, taking the right hand back to the left ankle, shin, or knee. Really focusing in on that Ujjayi breathing. On an exhale, replacing the hand back down onto the mat, taking the knees all the way down to the floor for tabletop. We're going to work through a few cat-cows here before going into our next balancing posture. So on an exhale, tucking the chin into the chest, rounding the spine up towards the sky. And on an exhale, reversing that motion, taking the top of the head and the tailbone as if they're trying to meet back behind you, dropping the belly towards the earth. And again, exhale, finding cat here, rounding the spine. Inhale, coming into cow, nice gentle arch. One last time, breathe. Coming into spinal balance, we're going to take our left hand straight ahead and our right leg to the back of the mat. So we're in a nice spinal balance here. Your arm and leg are on one plane. And on an exhale, bringing the elbow and knee to meet together just underneath your stomach. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, re-extend. One last time. Exhale, crunching in. Inhale, re-extend. On an inhale, bending this back leg up towards the sky, swimming the left arm back behind you to find the ankle or the tops of the feet or the toes, getting ready for lion posture. So on an exhale, remember sinking those roots down into the earth, and on an inhale, kicking the foot into the hand, lifting everything up towards the sky. Maybe your gaze goes to the front of the room, or maybe you look up towards the sky. Really tethering yourself to your breath here as it gets shaky and you're feeling like you want to come out of it. Breathe. On an exhale, release back out to that spinal balance. Then we're gonna come into what I call awkward airplane. So swinging the right leg to the right of the room and the left arm straight out to the side. Plant the left arm down on the ground, allow the right leg to drop right where it is, rolling back onto that heel, coming into gated child's pose. For a few grounding breaths here. Inhale, coming back into a neutral tabletop, getting ready for the other side. So this time taking the right arm straight out, left leg kicking towards the back of the room, feeling the balance here. And on an exhale, crunching knee to elbow. Inhale, re-extend, exhale. Rounding the spine, tucking the chin. Inhale, re-extend. Last time. Exhale. And inhale, re-extend. Holding for just a breath before we bend that left knee, swim the right arm back, coming into lion's posture here on the other side. Again, finding your roots, and on an inhale, kicking that left foot into the right hand, taking everything up towards the sky. Are you breathing? If you forgot, it's okay. That's why I'm reminding you. Exhale, re-extend out into spinal balance. Swinging the arm and leg open for that awkward airplane position, dropping the hand onto the mat, placing the left foot down on the floor right where it is, rolling onto the heel, and sitting back into gated child's posture. Taking a few breaths here. If you've lost sight of that Ujjayi breathing, this is a great time to try and reconnect with it. Inhale, come back up to a neutral tabletop. Tucking on to the balls of the toes, we're going to use our hands to walk all of our weight so that we're just up on the balls of our toes. So our knees come off the mat and we're just here on the balls of our toes. Allow your knees to fall out wide. So you might need to take your feet in a little bit closer so that when your knees open up, your heels and the balls of your toes are meeting, kind of like a sandwich. If you need some stability, I like to place my hands back behind me to keep me upright. And we're just gonna find probably 5 breaths here of just stillness. And if you can, maybe taking a hand off the ground, or maybe 2. Just really settling into your breath here, allowing it to help you find stability. Rising up high from the crown of the head, all of your energy reaching for the sky. Beautiful. Keep breathing, you're doing awesome. On your next exhale, place your hands down on the mat directly in front of you. We're going to stay on the balls of our toes here as we take our hips high up to the sky, high enough so that you can find a place for your knees to rest on the back of your triceps. I like to rest mine on the back, like right where my armpit sockets are, but for some of you it might be more comfortable to come lower or maybe just to the outside of your triceps. We're coming into crow pose or bakasana. Now you can keep both toes on the ground and play around with shifting your weight forward and backward, or if you like, maybe floating one or both toes off the earth. Whatever you've decided, go there now, and we're going to take 2 to 3 really steady breaths here. Breathe. Last breath. On an exhale, floating the toes back to the earth, walking the hands all the way to the top of the mat, finding your way to your stomach, taking your right arm directly out into a T, and placing your left hand directly under your left shoulder. Push the ground away from you with that left hand, and take the left foot and plant it somewhere on the outside of your mat, rolling up onto the top of this right shoulder. Maybe you walk your fingertips towards the top of your mat for a more intense stretch here in your shoulder. Allow your head to fall onto the floor. On your next exhale, coming back to center, switching sides, taking your left arm out this time, pushing the ground away from you with that right hand, floating your right foot back behind your left knee. Really opening up the head of the shoulder here. Exhale, coming back to the center, placing both hands under your shoulders, pushing the ground away from you, finding your way into down dog, pedaling out the feet for just a moment. Again, really making sure that spine is straight, reaching the bottom of those rib cages up to the top of your thighs. On an inhale, float the left heel up towards the sky for 3-legged down dog. Be sure that both hip points are pointing towards the mat. On an exhale, take the knee towards the chin, stepping that left foot in between your front hands, rising up, high lunge or Anjaneyasana. Make sure your weight is evenly dispersed between the front and the back foot. Both hip points are facing forward, and you're finding length here as you reach up towards the sky. On an exhale, we're going to rotate open to the left and allow our right hand to plant right on the inside of our left foot. So we're coming into a revolved lunge here. Really pushing the ground away from you with that right hand, so you're not dumping all your weight into the floor and into this right shoulder. Getting ready for our next balancing posture. You're going to keep your shoulders and upper body rotated to the left as you float the right arm off the mat, coming back into a twisted high lunge. Both shoulders are facing the long edge of your mat to the left. Beautiful. Are you tethered to your breath? On an inhale, coming back to that high crescent lunge, pivoting those shoulders back to the front of your mat. And on an exhale, lowering down about 45-degree angle, and start to work your weight all the way into this front foot until you can float the back foot off the mat and come to a standing position without letting that right foot touch the mat. Now we're coming into tree posture here, which is one of my favorites. So find a place for your right foot, either on your calf or somewhere above your knee. The only rule here is you don't want your foot directly on your knee joint. So take your foot there now. Arms can be wherever you'd like. I'm going to find heart center. And we're going to just sink into this tree posture for several breaths. This This is a great time to reimagine those roots, shooting down from the bottom of your feet, securing you tightly to your mat. And on an inhale, rising up from the crown of your head, lifting everything up to the sky. It's kind of this fun juxtaposition of rooting and rising at the same time. If this feels easy, maybe close your eyes. On your next exhale, gently take the foot off of your left leg and hug it tightly into your chest on an exhale, wringing all the air out from your lungs. And then gently and quietly step back into high lunge, as quiet as you can. Slowly and controlled. Exhale, float the hands back to frame the front foot. Stepping back into plank and flowing through that vinyasa one more time. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. It's our last down dog of the practice. On an inhale, take that right heel up to the sky, keeping both hip points facing the mat. On an exhale, taking the knee towards the chin, stepping that right foot in between the hands and rising up. High crescent lunge, Anjayanasana. Really finding length here as you reach for the sky, knitting those ribs in together, keeping that core nice and solid. On an exhale, revolving out to the right as we plant the left hand just on the inside of that right foot. Taking the right hand up towards the sky, really finding length here. You're pushing the ground away from you with that left hand. And on an inhale, coming in to our revolved balancing posture here on the other side. Floating the left hand off the mat, keeping both shoulders facing the right long edge of your mat. Finding a nice gentle twist here in your spine. You're on the balls of that back foot. And we're tethering here to our breath. Inhale. Deep exhale. On your next exhale, returning back to our original high crescent lunge. So now you're facing the short edge of your mat. Exhale, lower down to a 45-degree angle, transitioning all the weight into that front foot and rising up, finding tree posture here on the other side. Maybe taking your hands in a different position this time. So if you did hands at heart center, maybe try taking your arms up to the sky. I'm going to find cactus. And settle into that breath. On an exhale, rooting down with that right foot. And on an inhale, rising up with all of your energy and intention up towards the sky. Breathe. You're doing awesome. One last breath here. Fill those lungs. And empty them all the way out as you drop the left foot back down to the earth. Maybe wiggling out the knees here. And we're going to end practice just as we started. Inhale, taking those arms up overhead. On an exhale, taking the left hand, Grabbing the right wrist, stretching over to the left side, really opening the right side of the body, maybe a little more than you did at the beginning of practice. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, switch your grip, take it out to the other side. Inhale, rising back up to center. Placing your palms together just above your head. Closing the eyes. And dropping the thumbs down to your third eye. Just as a reminder to see the good in the world and to see the good in yourself. And then taking those thumbs down to your lips as a gentle reminder to speak kindly to others and especially to yourself. And then taking those hands down to heart center to remind you of the light that resides within you and everyone you come in contact with, and trying to honor that throughout your day. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for practicing with me today. Save this video, try it again a few more times. I think you'll be surprised at how your balance will improve as you focus in on that breath. Maybe send this to a friend or a family member who could use a little breath and balance in their life right now. And lastly, for more videos like this and short yoga tutorials, you can follow me at my personal page on @Sinea. Thanks, guys.